So when I was 26, I went into a conventional medicine doctor's office. I was like, I feel terrible. They tested my hormones and the doctor looked at me and said, I work with mostly postmenopausal women, and your hormones are worse or lower than theirs are.
Oh my
And I was
goodness.
26 at the
Right.
time. So obviously should not have been going through menopause at that time. And she said, unfortunately, this is nothing you're doing. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to take medication for the rest of your life.
Oh
And
dear.
I knew inside that was not the answer for me.
Hey there, I'm Ashley, mom of four and creator of Reps and Redemption. Join me as I share my passion for health education, explore all things fitness and nutrition, plus share a little faith-filled homemaking along the way. If you're a mom ready to build strength and live a life of epic redemption, this podcast is for you. Let's get after it.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Reps and Redemption. I am here with Megan Lyons, and I am very excited to have her here today. Hey, Megan, how are you?
Hello, Ashley. I'm doing so well and really excited to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, give us a little glimpse into your world, where you're at, who you are, and what you do, and we can start there.
Absolutely. So I live in Dallas. I grew up mostly in Dallas, then moved all over the place, Boston, New York, Miami, Chicago, and eventually wound up back here in Dallas where my family is. Professionally, I own the lion's share. I help people with their nutrition and holistic health. So I help generally very busy, high achieving women and men who want to feel better. And for everyone that looks a little bit different. For some people, that's I really want to look in the mirror and feel proud of myself. For some people, that's I have a huge energy slump. For some people, that's, oh my gosh, my doctor told me I'm going to go on cholesterol medication or prediabetes medication or whatever if I don't get this under control. For some people, that's digestion. It really does matter to me as long as it's related to health. I absolutely love doing it. And I'm excited to share some of that today.
Well, there is so many things that you and I can talk about. I feel like we could do like 10 interviews in a week because I
Yes.
want to know everything you know. And you talked about metabolic health, you've talked about digestive health, adrenal health, and brain health. Those are all your bread and butters. And I know today we're going to talk about like an 8-minute morning routine, you would say that'll
Yes.
change your life. And I love how you said high achieving men and women because I that's who I personally love surrounding myself with. And I do feel, even when I only have like last night 2 hours of sleep, I'm pretty high achieving nonetheless, when I'm
Ooh,
tired. And I would love to know what would
yes.
help me wake up and go with this routine that you have. And then also, I am very interested in what you studied in school and what kind of led your story, like where you're at. So if you want to start with kind of how you got to where you are, and then we can dive into the routines.
Yes.
But yeah, let's do that.
Well, believe it or not, it is so closely related. So those are great questions to go together. I've been a high achieving person for as long as I can remember. My parents luckily did not put a lot of pressure on me, but I put extreme amounts of pressure on myself because I care about being my best. Not that competitive with other people, but I'm uber competitive with myself. And this is great in many reasons. For many reasons, I appreciate that about myself. But as you may know, when it comes to your health, if you're just driving all the time and don't know how to take care of yourself, it
Hmm,
leads to disaster.
right.
So I actually studied economics at Harvard for my undergrad. I was not interested in health or nutrition at all. I went into the business world. I did management consulting. I got an MBA, all of that kind of stuff. And through that, I burned myself out because
Wow.
I am very good at doing more. I'm great at doing more exercise. I'm great at eating less. I'm great at sleeping less. I'm great at all that stuff. And that's a major backhanded compliment to myself. It's not good to be doing all of those things. So when I was 26, I went into a conventional medicine doctor's office. I was like, I feel terrible. They tested my hormones and the doctor looked at me and said, I work with mostly postmenopausal women, and your hormones are worse or lower than theirs are.
Oh my
and I was
goodness.
26 at the
Right.
time. So obviously should not have been going through menopause at that time. And she said, unfortunately, this is nothing you're doing. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to take medication for the rest of your life.
Oh,
And
dear.
I knew inside that was not the answer for me. I knew I was doing it to myself. I just didn't know how to take care of myself. And so that set me off on the journey to learn about it. I started learning about nutrition. I started optimizing my nutrition, and I was getting better, but there was still a missing piece, which was time for me. And without me saying to myself, okay, Megan, it's your job right now to take 8 minutes for yourself, I would just put everyone else's priorities before mine. And I know people listening can relate to that. They're
Right.
busy moms or they're employees or they're whatever. They're used to putting everyone else's priorities above theirs. And so I learned about meditation and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds nice. I think it would help. But I was just struggling to actually get it into my day. And that's when I started the morning routine. It was completely for me. It changed my life. And then I realized to share with other people. It's turned into this wake up and go acronym that I'll share with your audience, but it truly was the catalyst for me healing. And I believe it can be that for other people as well.
That is fantastic. I love how you said that, you'll push yourself with less food, less sleep, more exercise, more studying, and you were in that place. And I do often find myself there as well as a high achiever when it comes to health and fitness, because I had this thought, like when you said that, it kind of convicted me, because the other day I was like, man, what I would get done if I didn't have to sleep, because I already don't sleep very much as it is. And this is like, I really, that's my huge struggle right now in that department. And we need sleep to recover. Yeah. We need sleep to be our best. We need sleep for muscle growth, and we need sleep for brain health. And there's so many things we need that aspect of our health for. And that one for me kind of goes to the back burner. And that's crazy that this person, you told me it was a doctor at a convention that said that your hormones were worse than a
No, I said conventional medicine doctor.
Conventional medicine,
so just
okay.
A regular MD.
A regular MD told you that your hormones were worse than a woman going through menopause, which would you say that was like the light bulb moment that you were like, I have got to do something?
Yes, that was absolutely it.
That's incredible. So go ahead and walk us through this life-changing routine that you're talking about that surprisingly only takes about 8 minutes.
Yes. So I will give the caveat, because I always get asked this question. Currently, my morning routine takes a lot more than 8 minutes, but that's because I chose to change my schedule to do that. Mm-hmm. I practiced the 8-minute version for years, and it worked. And I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of people one-to-one on this specific 8-minute morning routine. So I just want to call myself out and say I do more, but it does work in 8 minutes. And the goal is that we spend 1 minute doing each of 8 habits. The 8 habits they follow an acronym called Wake Up and Go. So everyone can remember that. Wake Up and Go is all you have to remember. Number 1, or the first one, is W for water. Water is so precious for so many reasons. And most of us, we stumble over to the coffee maker and we just guzzle coffee first thing, and then we forget water until it's like noon. That's not optimal for our energy production, our digestive or our detoxification system, all of that. So I like coffee too, but I suggest you get a glass of water and drink that first. And that's your whole thing. That's your whole task for the first minute. Then affirmations is second. For affirmations, there are different styles of affirmations that work for different people. For me, when I started this, I tried what I call the cheesy format, which is like I look in a mirror and I say, I am a billionaire. And it just was not working for me, because I'm not a billionaire. I can look in my bank account, and I had a lot of cognitive dissonance. So for me, affirmations is more like reading my goals. I have a set of goals that I write every year. You could do it every day or however long, whatever period you want. But these goals are just a few things that are written in a way that makes me feel very aligned with how I want to show up in the day, how I want to conduct myself, how I want to appear for others, like emotionally, not necessarily my physical appearance, but how I want to show up for them. And I just read those simply, takes about 30, 45 seconds, and that's your A. And then K is for knowledge. Knowledge is a way to awaken our brain in a way that feels really energizing. So you could read one page from a book. You could listen to a minute of a podcast. You could do Sudoku for a minute or a crossword puzzle, anything that's not related to your job that stretches your brain in a fun way. This is all designed to wake you up and give you energy for the day. E is for exercise. Is 1 minute of exercise enough? No, I will be the first to say that. But is 1 minute of exercise better than 0? Absolutely. And the research shows even if we get our heart rate up for a minute, there are still benefits. So what I ask is, even if you're going to exercise later in the day and do a formal session, which I hope you do, just get moved for 1 minute. Stretch, roll your neck out, do some push-ups, do some burpees, whatever you want to do, just get moving. That's wake, W-A-K-E. Then we have U for unwind. You've just exercised. Now we want to unwind. This is actually very precisely designed to mitigate your stress response. Because evolutionarily, when we look at, like, let's say 1,000 years ago, I had to run from a lion or something like that. If my heart rate went up, and then all of a sudden it goes down, that's very soothing to my nervous system. Now, our stressors these days are not like a lion, hopefully, but it's emails, it's the baby's crying, it's whatever, all of this kind of stuff. And if we can elevate our heart rate and then very quickly, slowly breathe, recover, that's great for our stress capacity. So for you, unwind, I recommend deep breaths, prayer, journaling, meditation, anything you want to do that really slows you down just for a minute. We're almost there. P is for positivity. So I just listen to a positive song. I have like a Spotify playlist of songs that make me feel really good, that are uplifting, or read a positive quote calendar, something like that. G is for gratitude. Some people like to wrap this up. If they do U for unwind, they use that in prayer, then they wrap gratitude in there. You could do it however you want. The only really important thing is that W for water is first. But G for gratitude, this is just writing or thinking of three things you're grateful for, which many people have heard of all the benefits. And then very last step, O, is one goal. We set one goal for the day because, like we've mentioned multiple times, we're high achievers and we all think in the morning we're going to get 89 things done. And if we did that and we actually got 30 done, what happens at the end of the day? We look back and we say, oh, Megan, you failure. You didn't do those 59. And I never want anyone to feel that way. So I set one goal. If I can only accomplish one thing today, what's the most important? And sometimes it's going to bed at a certain time, or being nice to my husband after work and not snapping at him, or sometimes it's a big work task. It doesn't really matter. It's one thing that'll make me feel happy at the end of the day. So you did that 1 minute each, boom, you're done. And now you're ready to take on the day.
I absolutely love this wake up and go acronym that you created, because I think for a lot of women listening, we think that we have to do so much for self-care, for exercise, for health. But really, like you said, your routine now is much longer than it was then. But to get to where you are now, you need to start with a few minutes. And I believe that's something all of us can do, right? I mean, you were definitely not feeling your best. Your hormones were out of whack. You were exhausted. You were told you had to be on medication for the rest of your life. And you finally drew a line in the sand and were like, that's enough. I'm going to make some drastic changes. And I think this is perfect for us coming out of the new year, out of the holidays and the new year, and really, not forgetting that we can start somewhere and start with that. And I really do love that you mentioned water, because I love coffee too. And I forget to do that. And my mother and father-in-law, they do that. They drink a jar of water first, like a huge mason jar of it first, before they even touch their coffee. So they remind me when we're together and we're visiting with each other this weekend. But it's a really good reminder. And I love that gratitude aspect. I just spoke about that in one of my latest podcasts about how gratitude changes just our overall emotional and mental health. And you also said
Yes.
that once we exercise, and this is really funny because my husband and I were just talking about, in the new year, maybe we should do like push-ups and squats, like just for a few minutes before we start the day, or like stretching or whatever. And how you said that you can accomplish quite a bit in a minute if you think about it. And if you're like, it's only a minute, I can do 20 push-ups in a minute, or however you want to use that time. And
Yes.
then, will you explain to me too? You said that after you do that minute of exercise, your body
Yes.
needs to come down for the nervous system. What does
Yes.
that do for us? Does that exercise release dopamine and then we need to calm our nervous system down so we're not fight or flight? Or how does that work?
Great question. So, yes, intense exercise for a prolonged period can raise cortisol, a stress hormone. But 1 minute, that's not enough to
Mhm.
raise the stress hormone, which is good because we don't want to raise the stress hormone all day, every day, which most of us have anyway. You're right that it will give you a little boost of dopamine, but dopamine feels good. The real beauty here is the parasympathetic nature of the calm after the storm. So when we have go, 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 relax and recover, and we come down, we really slow down our breath. We have this natural toning of the vagus nerve, which is the nerve between your brain and your gut. Your gut is where a lot of your serotonin and dopamine is made. And you can think of it like an electrical signal down that nerve that says everything's fine now. We're up and now we're down and everything's fine now. And the more we can do that through the day, like if you catch yourself, which I do for sure, in a state of high arousal, even if it's like I'm looking at my inbox, there's nothing I should be stressed about, but it feels stressful. I'm very high, I'm overwhelmed. Then I take a few deep breaths right then. That's actually more powerful than taking a few deep breaths if I was already in a calm state. It's that contrast of stress and then calm that is really great for our nervous system.
Oh, I really like that. Maybe I kind of want to start using that, like, because I get, that go, go, go and the high achieving aspect of a lot of people that have that in common with us is that we need to take those moments for those deep breaths. And I also know that deep breathing really, as moms, help our pelvic floor as well.
Yes,
And we need some lift, like we need to get.
absolutely.
So what is in that acronym that you created? Do you have one or two favorites that, when you first started doing this, did you look forward to 1 minute over the other?
So you'll really tell that I love acronyms here because the answer to this question revolves around NTFM syndrome. I had this syndrome very strongly before, and it stands for no time for me syndrome. I would always complain, I love reading and I just don't have time to read. And that was an excuse. I could make 1 minute to read. I work with super busy clients, whether they're moms of multiple kids or CEOs of giant companies or whatever. And everyone can make 1 minute in the day for something that's really important to them. Maybe the exception would be literally have like a 2-week-old baby or something like that.
Right.
But eventually, once you stabilize out, you can get 1 minute. So that K for knowledge, that was assigned to me. You're doing what you love to do, even if it's for 1 minute. I started with reading 1 page per day, but 1 page per day, that adds up to a book a year. That
Right.
for me was a lot better than 0 books a year. Now I read like 50 books a year. But then it was just that signal to myself. I'm reading 1 page a day. This is what I love to do. It's okay. And doing that for me in the morning was such a good sign for my ability to prioritize myself. The rest of the day, we're doing things for other people. And I love serving other people. I set up my business to do that. So obviously I love it. But if we don't take those moments for ourselves, we feel this NTFM syndrome very strongly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, it is, I have had that syndrome. Okay. So I'm not going to say, a lot of us listening to the show, or no, me, myself, for years would say, I don't have time to XYZ. And thank God I married a very supportive person who was like, you can make time to XYZ. You're just not prioritizing it and you're
Yes.
making an excuse. So I do think, yes,
Yes.
seasons change. And if you have a newborn, you gotta, I love how you said, balancing that out. There's certain seasons
Yes.
where you need to slow down a little bit and focus. But as we, whether we're adding more children or more, chores, like if we get a farm one day, like I'm gonna have to balance out again, once we get all the cows and chickens I want, and I have no idea what I'm getting into, but I'll have to balance that out and start again. So I think there's a lot to be said about knowledge, like you said, because especially as moms, we can kind of get in the cycle of just autopilot and we're not taking
Yes.
anything in, or we can take in the wrong thing. Like, I'm not saying scrolling on social is bad because I do believe there's snippets on there that are super knowledgeable and informative, but we got to be careful too. We need to really feed our brain as well. And I think it helps knowing that we can spend 1 minute reading one page a day, and that'll help us really just be a better mom all around. And can you touch on, because there's a lot of things I want to chat with you about. So we're going to have you on the show again, but can you touch on how this acronym and this, life-changing morning routine could help our hormones, maybe our thyroid and things like that, and just a few thoughts you might have on that.
Yes, it absolutely does. So I'll contrast two scenarios. One scenario, old self, I used to set my alarm 81 minutes before I needed to wake up. That's 9 snooze cycles. And I learned that every time the alarm goes off, we get a little mini bump of cortisol. Now, what I was doing for myself is getting 9 bumps of cortisol before I even got out of bed. And when we have that very strong surge in the morning of cortisol, then we're like jumpier to anything else that happens. So I start my day with a lot of cortisol. Then I'm stumbling over to get my toothbrush and I stub my toe on the bed and I think that's the stupidest bed I've ever seen. And then I'm out of toothpaste and I say, oh, life stinks because I'm out of toothpaste. And then the coffee is whatever. Like everything seems bad when we start our day in a stressed out state already. And then we add on what most people do. They turn straight to their phone, go to the news. I don't care what you think about anything. The news is riles us up in not a good way. And then email is other people's agenda and social media and this stuff. So we've already started our day in this state of heightened arousal. That makes us jumpier, like I said, to everything else during the day and makes us more sensitive to cortisol increases all throughout the rest of the future 24 hours, which eventually leads to lower quality sleep and all kinds of stuff like that. Now, contrast that to now what I do and now what the listeners who are interested might do, where I don't snooze. That is outlawed now. I'm excited to spend 8 minutes on myself before I do anything else. I don't stub my toe. I'm not out of toothpaste. I do this calming thing. I start you can literally measure this. I start at a place that is much lower cortisol. Then I'm less jumpy all throughout the day. I think the things that will come my way, because life has stressors for all of us, they're less likely to elevate my cortisol, my stress hormones, my adrenaline, things like that later in the day. And hormones all play together. So if I have a cortisol imbalance, which I did, that's like one player in the orchestra. Let's say the violinist goes rogue. What are the other players in the orchestra going to do? They're going to try to make up, like match the violinist. He's going crazy, or play louder to cover it, or just stop playing to give the violinist a solo, whatever. Our hormones do that. So if cortisol is wacky, then my other hormones are going to go wacky, which they did. And that leads to all the kinds of things that we feel.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is absolutely going to help us really focus on our own self and really prioritizing our health and starting the day with a lot more peace, which I think we all need a lot more peace.
Yes.
And I want to have you back on the show.
Absolutely. We do.
Yeah, we definitely do, especially in it's, now when this episode airs, it'll be 2024. And I pray that everyone listening, your year is going great so far. And this, morning routine might help you really get your feet out from under you, get going after a lot of busyness. I think too, talking about the cortisol roller coaster, maybe we should have you on again so we can chat about that. And where can, before we end, because I really enjoyed talking with you, Megan, where can everyone find you? Let's say, they're like, I'm a high achiever. I would really love a coach. Can you walk us through, like, really quickly what a coaching session with you might look like, kind of what you do for your clients, and then where everyone can find you, either on Instagram, email, your website? Go ahead and do that for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So it would be easier for me, honestly, if all my coaching sessions looks the same, but I don't think that serves anyone. I serve individuals. I don't follow a cut and dry path. So each session looks different. I'm basically talking very specifically with the client about what goals they want to achieve. Mm-hmm. And then I'm helping them break those big goals down into smaller steps. So if it is weight loss, or it is consistency, or it is hormone health, or something like that, that feels big to people. I want to break it down, give you 2 or 3 things to work on each week, help you understand why you're doing that and how to implement it. And then we come back and we add on next time. And that's really the pattern I follow for everyone. It's just that they all have different goals, which is amazing and keeps my job fun. People can find me at thelyonshare.org. That's my website. There's tons of free information on there. I've been blogging every week since 2013. So I highly encourage, definitely, even if you don't want to hire me for anything, just look for some free information there. And Instagram, I'm most active social media wise there. I'm at The Lyons Share as well. And I am really looking forward to talking with any of your audience.
Thank you so much, Megan. And I will throw all of her links in the show notes so you ladies can find her and reach out, or just go ahead and follow her on social media. She has a lot of knowledge and understanding of all things health and fitness. Thank you so much, Megan, for being on the show today.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
If this episode inspired you, will you share with a friend? I would be so grateful if you would leave a podcast review on your listening app of choice. Remember, the content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please seek the advice of your qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or health condition. Remember, be bold, mama, and live well. Until next time.